Maria's the woman behind this incredible business. I would love you to tell us more about your work running Sea and Flo. Why is the brand and the idea behind menstrual cups important to you, and why should it be important to us?
Well, that's a really good question. I think for me, using a menstrual cup cuts down hugely on our waste. It's completely zero waste and it lasts for 10 years. So it's such an incredible product. Really, it's a terrible business model, but I'm happy with that. I really want to move away from how consumerist we are, and it also changes how I personally approach my period, and I could probably say the same for you. And lots of women experiencing it, just because I put it in at the beginning of the day, I leave it there, I forget about it, and I take it out before I go to bed, and that's it. It's freeing. It's an empowering product in itself, because it doesn't stop us from doing anything. So that idea that I'm not going to go for a swim, or I'm not going to go for that run that I really love to go on because I have a heavy flow and I can't really do that comfortably, that leaves completely. And I love that about the product. I think it's an incredible design that it's able to do that for people. Those two paired together, I think, just feels like a dream, and spreading that word and giving that to other people, as well as kind of moving away from the use of tampons, which terrifies me. The more that I've researched into it and looked into it, I'm just absolutely horrified about what's found in tampons. And I see lots of products coming out now from companies that are doing like a subscription box where people can subscribe and have organic natural tampons. Now, I don't know a massive amount about that, but I still feel kind of jarred in that emotion. Like, it's still not great for the environment for us to be going through, I think it's about 11,000 disposable products in our lifetime. That's a huge amount that are not recycled. It doesn't matter whether they're organic cotton or not, they're not recycled. So they go a lot of the time down the toilet. I think statistically half of the women in the UK flush their menstrual products down the toilet. That's terrifying. I saw an advert for coffee bags, like a tea bag with a coffee. She pops it in and she says, how have they not thought of this before? And I literally shouted at the telly, it's so much waste! In 2020, I'm absolutely horrified that we're doing that we're creating products that are just this idea of throwing it away straight after. And
it's so frustrating.
So frustrating. It's insane.
It's just such a solution-based product. Like,
but it's not a financial-based product, and that's the argument, isn't it? That's the drive of people. I mean, we're saying it was invented in the 1930s. That's 70, 90 years ago. I still do that thing where I'm like, that's nearly 100 years ago. And it's a terrible business model, and that's why people haven't pushed it. But I love that it's coming past that, and we're looking. I think there is a shift, there is a change. What are products that are good for our environment, that are less impacting in a negative way? Because period products are terrifying in that way. And I've written a little bit about my relationship with my cup, because it is a relationship. I trust it. I know it's going to be there. I really, really have a lot of love for it. And I know where it is. I reach for it. There's none of that, oh, I don't have a tampon. I have to go to the shop. I've just gone on a period and I'm so unprepared. And I think I feel backed up. I feel supported. I feel like it's always going to be there. And these things maybe sound a bit funny to talk about an item, like a product that is just an object, really, but it does create so much support and taking care of it so it can take care of me. And I think that's a really nice element about buying less, treating it well, looking after it, investing in and I've talked about that quite a lot on social media, about investing in products that support us, and I think that's really important.
I'm just going to read a little quote that's from Sea and Flo's Instagram account. "This creation, the menstrual cup, is part of me and stands for the same values I do. Raised by a fierce mother who recycled everything and taught me to take responsibility for my impact on the world, I have memories of her lifting me up as a toddler to put the bottles through the holes in the recycling bins in a car park in our local town, and hearing them smash into 1,000 pieces. We were taught to save and reuse. I spent my school days giving kids a hard time for their littering, and I suppose you could say that was just the beginning." Maria, can you please shed some light on how you find being an entrepreneur and running your own company, and what's next for you in the world of eco-friendly business?
How's it been for me? Yeah, it's been a journey. I think I just make things up as I go along, to be perfectly honest. Now, I've spoken to a couple of companies about helping with my marketing and things, and I'm just like, I'm just making it up. I think I am led by my values massively, so that's the most important thing for me. Money is great, we all need it to live on, but I don't have this drive to make masses of it so that I can spend it in the world. I think the more I look at how the world is and how the minority of people hold the majority of the wealth, and that's why we have all of these issues with poverty, I just, that really makes my blood boil, and I don't want to feed into that. This idea that I have about people getting to a certain level of income and they lose their humanity. It seems really bizarre to me that what you get to a certain amount of money and then you forget about everybody else. So especially with the counselling background, I just want to help people. I want to just make people feel good and supported, and so 25% of our profits go to charities. I would love to have a specific person that I work with, and we do loads and loads of stuff, and I can't even comprehend that yet. I'm just like, I have an idea, which just needs to grow and kind of form, but I would love it to be a massive company so that I can give a massive amount back. But I am led by my values, so it needs to be good for the consumer. I don't want to just flog stuff off to people. I want to make it into a wellness brand that supports people for the whole stage of their cycle, not just this little bit while we're bleeding. Everyone that follows me on Instagram that isn't a private account, I will message them and hopefully open a conversation, because I love hearing about other people, but it's important to get the right cup, and there's reasons why people don't get on with them that we can chat about, and I love that. I love that support and that experience of connecting with people. So it's been a really positive experience. I've really tried for it to be non-gender specific. I know that it is a fairly heavily weighed product, but that's really important to me. I don't want to feel like, I love the phrase empowering women, but I'm very conscious of writing statements like that, and because I want to empower everybody that needs to be empowered by it, and I want everybody that needs the support to feel like they can have it, not just feel like it's women only. They know that people that identify as being a woman, I don't want to shut anybody out, and that's something that I'm really, really conscious of. So I think that kind of feeds into it not being a really, really feminine concept. Like, I hope that it's not. I think that there are elements of it that are quite, I've noticed that it's quite pink, and I'm like, oh. So just making changes and learning and growing, thinking, where do I really want this to be? How accessible do I want this to be for people? And that's really important. So that's another one of my values. I want it to be a positive impact on the world, sustainably, eco-wise, and for people. I think that smaller businesses, especially the ones that are starting and are fairly new, you're right, we're starting them in a world that does have these conversations, and I love that. I think it's amazing. I think that they need to be pushed harder. But it opens that conversation about how conditioned we are to be a feminine or masculine kind of personality type. And I think it's so interesting because we identify pink as a feminine color, and it just shows how kind of conditioned we are, that pink is girls and blue is boys, and it's just not that way. But we still live in this world where it so is widely considered that it's just those kind of polar poles. And I think that I'm really excited to see where the future holds for that, breaking down that stereotype of girls wear pink and boys wear blue and boys are masculine and girls are feminine, because it's not that clear cut. You think about a very, very long established brand that maybe was set up in the 50s. Now when they set up, there was a very different world that well, I wasn't alive. It was completely different, and I think people carry that through.
I use Sea and Flo's menstrual cup, and I can't recommend it enough. I was so worried when I started, even though I use a vaginal contraceptive and I'm very comfortable with my body, I'm very comfortable talking about my body, I was just slightly concerned about using a menstrual cup. Can you tell us more about your cup, and also just let's touch on the benefits of using a cup generally in terms of for your body?
I just want to kind of break that stereotype, that archetype of periods are shameful, and for me, I personally experienced that. I had a clear cup that I used to put on the side and think, oh, I kind of want to hide you away, and really kind of have a horrible emotional reaction to that and feel kind of ashamed of my kind of manky stained cup. So I really didn't want anyone to experience that. I really want to kind of get rid of that completely when we're thinking about period care products. I've also been really conscious to not call them hygiene products. I think, again, it's such a subliminal message that says periods are shameful, periods are dirty, you need a certain product to be hygienic and clean. And I want to move away from that. I think that that's really important. So I refer to it as a care product because I think it is. And so our cups are really soft but have a thicker rim, so that means that they hold their shape really well, and create a really good seal so that you don't get any leakage. Something that is really great about them, which I think my friend yesterday said, you need to push this harder, you need to really, really hone this in, because I don't think it's said enough, is that the top of our cups are a little, I don't even have a,
I've got mine here.
The little stem that you've got at the bottom with the circle. Now that's, lots of cups have a kind of long stem that you trim down to fit your size. For me personally, I tried a cup like that. I trimmed it off, and it jabbed me, irritated. I found it really, really uncomfortable. So this was something that I absolutely loved, because it's completely round, it's completely circular and soft, and you can't feel that. So even if it hangs down a little bit, it doesn't affect you. So it's really great for that. I mean, you see so many of them that have got this kind of big stem that you trim, and it's quite harsh for such an intimate area. So it's such a lovely kind of part of the cup. I understand that a lot of women use an applicator tampon for that reason, that it's kind of like a very, very dry element that you're kind of sticking up into a sensitive area. But I found that the cup being so smooth, it doesn't create that irritation, which is great. I mean, cups can create irritation, and we are all very different. I have heard of someone being allergic to silicones and unfortunately not being able to use a cup. And there are lots of things to kind of consider when using one. So it's really important that we break the seal, because that can, pulling it down all the time can create what can it do? It can weaken our pelvic floor.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So over time, pulling that without breaking the seal can weaken that and cause it to be prolapse. So that's something to consider, and there are certain things to consider about using it, but breaking the seal is absolutely fine. You just have to make sure that you're doing it. But like you said, our product comes with all the instructions on the inside of the packaging, and our packaging is really, really minimal, so I didn't want to put it in a big box. By producing a lovely bag, that was the packaging on its own, really, and you can just have this tiny little bit. So we don't use any plastic. It's just sent in a little cardboard box, so you can pop it straight in the recycling, burn it on your fire if you want. It's really important for that. I wanted it to be as sustainable as possible, and not have any necessary waste coming off it. Our cups can be completely recycled. You just have to find out where they cycle them. So at your local recycling plant might do it, and you could probably Google, but it's just the same as medical products, so medical grade silicone. So and then you can just pop it there. I know that there are certain websites where you can send it off to. If you don't want to do that, you can just burn it, because it's made out of silicone, so it doesn't give off any nasty toxins. So you can just burn it on the fire and then it's completely gone. It does have a really long lifespan, but what happens at the end of that, and that's still really important. So lots of people upcycle them and use them as little plant feeders by cutting off the bottom and sticking them in.
Cute.
And I think I love that idea of reuse, reduce, recycle. How can we do that before it goes to throwing it away? I created a questionnaire on our website that it makes it really, really simple to find the cup that works best for you, but we are so unique. So that's one of the reasons that we do a duo pack, because there's a couple of situations where you might be, it could be either, and the best way to do that is to have a little test and try it out. And so as a rule, it's if you're under 30 and haven't given birth or carried full term, not necessarily given birth vaginally, but just carried a baby full term, then you'll go for the smaller cup. And if you have carried a baby full term or you're over 30, as a general rule, you would go for the slightly larger cup. And there are other things to consider. So how high your cervix sits, just how big we are in general. I mean, some women are very, very slight. You would take that into consideration. So how heavy your flow is, that again, you might be in the middle and approaching 30 and have a really heavy flow and think I would prefer to use a bigger one. I personally can use both, but I prefer using the bigger one, which I don't think is a very common thing for women. I just feel more secure with it in, but I've noticed that lots of people are reluctant to take the larger size, which I understand. There's this idea of, oh, I don't want to have the big one because I don't want to have a big fanny. So and I completely get that. It makes complete sense to me, and I've experienced that a lot talking to women where they say, oh I'm gonna have the smaller one. This is the one that you need. They're really, really similar in size. If you hold them up, they're really, really,
they are.
There's literally like millimeters in it. It works out to, I think, 20p a period for just to buy a single cup, which I mean, we spend so much more on tampons. Tampons are expensive now, so it is really really affordable. Say affordable, it's really cost effective to buy one, but I am conscious that making a lump sum like that is not accessible for some people. So I have Afterpay on my website, which is a pay weekly scheme, interest free. It just means that you can break that payment down, so it makes it a lot more accessible. Our cups are really, really similarly sized, and hopefully bringing out a mini, which will be good for under 15-year-olds.
Oh wow, great.
Because I think, again, a lot of people that are buying from me are younger, and I love that. We talked earlier about how millennials are kind of giving those conversations, making them happen, pushing these things forward. But I think younger and younger, we're kind of realizing that this is really important, and I love that. I think that's really, really exciting. So it's good to be able to, I mean, imagine being able to say my period has created 0 waste in the world. I would love to be able to say that, but unfortunately it's not true.
Yeah. When I have the bag, I just kind of feel like I'm in it with other people. Like there's so many other people who have this bag and who are doing this. That's the feeling I get from using it.
I love that. That's something I've never really thought about. With the gender thing, I wanted it to be so that it was quite gender fluid. I don't think it's a very masculine product, the bag in itself, but there are lots of faces that are not necessarily 100%. That's a woman, that's a woman, that's a white Caucasian British female, which I really, it's so important that it's so inclusive. So they're all slightly different. They all have slightly different kind of bits of the pattern on them, which I really love. But yeah, I think it's about that idea that I touched on it a little bit about, I hate the word kind of making it cool, but I really wanted it to be something that people did want to buy. I do want to buy this. I do think I do love the look of it. I do feel good getting it and using it and having that emotional response to it being a really, really positive one, because we are so programmed that periods are a pain in the arse, that they're shameful, that they, if we can get rid of them, then I've made it through my period. All of this stuff, and I still see a lot of that my period is terrible, I hate it, or all those kind of emojis of crying with the period. And I understand that they're quite relevant to people, but it's painting such a negative picture around our periods that feeds into our psychological state and our subconscious. And so I really wanted to make something that was beautiful and was cool and people did want to buy and felt really good about. Also, again, back to the sustainability thing, I really wanted to not have a big box or loads of packaging. So I wanted to just make a cotton bag that could be, again, on its standalone on its packaging for the cup. Doesn't sit really, really well with me to just chuck money at large corporations. I don't really want to do that. So anyone that kind of has ideas of how we can give back and make a really, really incredible impact, I'd love to hear that. I'm always open to it. Things like the red box, which is absolutely amazing, and it gives so many period products, but if we can get them giving out products that last a hell of a lot longer, that would be amazing. And I really kind of honed in on, because it's something really, really close to my heart, giving away to mental health charities and environmental charities, but I wouldn't say that that's all I'm going to do. And I would love to give away loads of cups, and I actually volunteer at a local college as a counsellor. And I'm like, can I go and do talks? Can I go and give them products? Can I go and educate people? Because we were not educated enough at school.
No,
just were not at all. So I'm all about education. Love it. About learning. The more that we can learn about ourselves, the more power, the more acceptance, the more love that we have for the more love that we can show ourselves, the more love that we can show other people, in my opinion. I think it just breeds, and it comes from acceptance and being okay with ourselves. And so they really go hand in hand with me.
I've been on a journey of making small changes. The cup was my first one, and I just, like what we said, the fact that I was having a 0 waste period was just incredible, and it made me want to push for more 0 waste changes.
I think it's a really difficult place that we're in at the moment, where you see that kind of greenwashing, like we're eco-friendly, because we're selling something that you can reuse, or that doesn't have any plastic on it, but then it comes in, like you said, all of this plastic packaging, and you think you're not actually creating a sustainable product that's eco-friendly. You're just flogging something to people that are now trying to be more conscious. So it's almost taking advantage of the market, and I think it doesn't sit well with me. I think it's such a shame. You're going to do it properly. Don't just flog it off to make lots of money from people that are really, really trying to kind of make positive changes. So I had a similar thing where my cardboard packaging that I use, and they came wrapped in plastic, and I was like, oh, but you're selling eco mailers.
Wow.
And you've wrapped it in plastic. So I emailed them and said, I'm really not happy about this. I just sell them in the box.
Well
They're
done.
in the box. Absolutely, because why are you advertising an eco-friendly product and then making it really, really un-eco-friendly when you wrap it in plastic? Just so, I mean, things like Amazon now, you can register to have plastic-free packaging. Things are moving in that way. I think we just have to be really kind of but like you say, you buy something with the best intentions and it comes wrapped in plastic, and you think,
Your Instagram account is definitely one of my favorites. It offers a level of calm and focus on wellness that is just genuine. It is not about selling your product. It is this genuine message of, we should own what happens to us once a month. How aware are you of the power of social media as a tool to be innovative with your brand and to push those informative posts?
So we talked a little bit about kind of taking Sea and Flo to its next stages and providing products that create support for our whole entire cycles, like with blogs and kind of emails that kind of help people keep up to date with that, and education. And with my social media, I personally hate social media, but it is very powerful, and it does open a window for people to access this stuff. So it's all about support. It's all about making a difference, and the more money that we make, the more we can give it away, because that's really where I'm at with it. I definitely come in waves of enthusiasm towards social media. I get sucked in, and we all do. I mean, from a psychological point of view, from the counselling kind of theory that I was trained in, we are conditioned to move towards positive regard and acceptance and likes effectively, and I can feel that happening. Lots of people have said to me, you need to do videos, people need to see you and kind of learn more about you, and I'm like, I don't want to. I don't want to. And so there's a battle, and I love that people are learning from my posts, and I love that. I mean, it's beneficial to me too. Journaling what's happening means I'm so tapped into that, and I'm so aware, and I do really want people to learn about their cycles, because I think it's so empowering, and it gives us so much more understanding and patience, and I'm learning all the time. So I'm reading and I'm loving it, and I'm going to start selling Period Power on my website, because I absolutely love it. Maisie Hill's amazing. The book's incredible. It's so informative, and I think as a start-off platform for people to just gain more knowledge, it's incredible. It's a difficult one, I think, by selling into that idea of things need to be a certain way, and kind of it doesn't feel massively organic. It takes a lot of energy, but knowing that people get so much out of it is amazing. That's the end goal for my whole entire company, is to help people with this journey, and knowing that that's working and that's doing what I set out to do, then that's really, really cool, and that kind of ignites that fire again to keep going.
to say thank you to Maria and to Sea and Flo, I mean, that doesn't even cover it. This was such a lovely conversation. We will definitely keep in touch, and we will continue to support Sea and Flo and their amazing mission for zero waste, wellness, and the promotion of a really safe and empowered period. So thank you, Maria.
No, thank you. Yeah, it's been lovely. Been really great.